The icy winds of planet Urandor whipped across the barren landscape, carrying tiny shards of frozen mist that sparkled under the pale light of the distant sun. The research crew trudged carefully over the frozen plains, their boots sinking slightly into the brittle surface. Dr. Elena Marquez, the lead scientist, adjusted her thermal visor and scanned the horizon. From the shuttle, everything had looked smooth and featureless, but up close, the planet was alive with strange patterns in the ice, ridges and cracks that seemed almost deliberate. "This is remarkable," she murmured, her breath visible in the cold. "The surface looks natural, but there's something beneath it, something unusual." The crew had been sent to Urandor for a routine survey. The planet had long been thought lifeless, a frozen world far from the crowded human colonies of the inner systems. But Elena had insisted on extra scanning. She had always believed that life, no matter how improbable, would find a way. Her assistant, Rohan Patel, squinted at the readings on his tablet. "There's a heat signature," he said, his voice muffled by the protective mask. "It's weak, but it's definitely there. It's moving slightly." The team exchanged puzzled glances. On a planet with temperatures dipping below -70 degrees, a moving heat signature was impossible, unless it was life. Could it be geothermal activity? Suggested crew member Lena Voren, the engineer, keeping one hand near her toolkit strapped to her belt. Elena shook her head. "No, it's too small, too precise. We need to investigate closer." The crew approached the source, sliding over the icy surface carefully. As they neared a ridge, the ice began to shimmer. At first, they thought it was a trick of the light. Then Rohan knelt and brushed a patch of frost away. Beneath, a pale, translucent surface glimmered. "It's frozen," he whispered. "Something is encased in the ice." Elena leaned closer, her heart racing. Her mind raced through possibilities. A preserved life form, a remnant of some alien civilization, or something completely unknown. She motioned for the team to proceed cautiously. They could not risk damaging it. Using small, precise tools, Lena carefully chipped away at the ice. As they worked, they could see more clearly what was inside. At first, it looked like a humanoid figure, delicate and small. Her limbs were folded, almost like she was sleeping. But it was her face that struck them all, smooth, symmetrical, almost impossibly perfect, with closed eyes that suggested both innocence and intelligence. "She's alive," Elena said quietly, almost to herself. "She has to be. No ordinary fossil could emit that heat signature." Rohan checked the readings. "Her core temperature is very low, but there's a pulse. It's faint, but it's there." Lena's fingers hesitated over the ice. "If we try to thaw her too quickly, we could hurt her, or worse." Elena nodded. "We'll have to be careful, gently, slowly. Every step counts." They worked together, building a temporary containment field using thermal shields and a portable energy unit. The idea was simple: prevent the alien from freezing completely while keeping her environment stable. But in practice, it was complex. They had no guidebooks, no reference for an alien biology. Every decision was a risk, but Elena's voice was calm, filled with certainty. Hours passed. The sun dipped lower in the sky, casting long shadows across the ice. The alien girl remained still, but tiny flickers of bioluminescent light began to pulse along her skin, faintly illuminating the crystalline ice. The crew watched, awestruck. "This is incredible," Rohan murmured. "We're seeing something no human has ever seen before. Life outside our species." Elena smiled, though her mind was racing with questions. Who was she? Where had she come from? And why was she here on a remote, frozen world? Finally, after careful preparation, they began the slow process of warming her. Energy flowed into the containment unit, raising the temperature by just a few degrees at a time. The ice around her began to melt slowly, creating a thin layer of liquid that shimmered in the dim light. The alien girl stirred. Her fingers flexed, and her eyes fluttered open. They were large, almond-shaped, and reflected the faint light of the icy world. She blinked several times as if adjusting to the new environment, and then her gaze settled on the humans watching her. The crew froze. No one spoke. For a moment time seemed to stretch, and the girl simply looked at them, calm and curious without fear. Elena swallowed hard. She knows we're here," she said softly, "and she trusts us." The girl's lips moved, but no sound came. She seemed to communicate with them in some other way, a feeling, almost like a gentle wave of thought brushing against their minds. It was subtle, but Rohan felt it. Lena felt it too. And Elena, she felt a connection she could not explain. "We have to protect her," Elena said firmly. "No one else can know she's here. If anyone discovers her, we don't know what could happen." Lena nodded. "Agreed. But how do we keep her safe? She's alive and she's alone." Elena turned to the team. "We improvise. We use our skills, our minds, our ingenuity. We're humans. We solve impossible problems. That's what we do." Over the next few days, the crew adapted their shuttle and lab equipment to create a stable habitat for the girl. They monitored her vital signs constantly, adjusted temperatures, and designed a system to provide nutrients she seemed to accept willingly. Every small success filled them with pride and awe. And yet, there were moments of fear. A sudden drop in her pulse would send them scrambling to stabilize her. Unfamiliar biological reactions prompted debates and careful experiments. Every challenge was a test of their patience, their knowledge, and their humanity. But slowly, the alien girl grew stronger. She began to move freely within the containment area, her limbs fluid and graceful. She watched the humans closely, learning, understanding. It was clear she was intelligent, perhaps as clever as any human child, and perhaps even older than her appearance suggested. One evening, as the crew huddled in the warmth of the shuttle, they observed her for hours. She moved to a panel and touched a series of lights, seemingly experimenting, exploring. Lena approached cautiously. "She's curious," Lena said, smiling. "Just like a human." Elena nodded. "Curiosity is universal. It's a sign of life, and it's what makes us human. She has that too." As night fell on Urindor, the pale glow of distant stars reflecting off the ice, Elena felt a profound sense of wonder. They had found life, yes, but more than that, they had formed a connection. In that moment, she knew that humans had something unique: empathy, creativity, and courage. Traits that could make them allies, protectors, even friends to the unknown. And somewhere deep inside, she hoped that the alien girl felt the same way. The next morning, the team awoke to find the girl standing at the center of the containment chamber, looking out at the ice plains beyond. She reached her hand toward the horizon, and for the first time she spoke, not in words but in thought that touched each of their minds gently, a quiet plea, a question. "Will you help me?" Elena knelt beside the panel and answered, though she knew the girl could feel it. "Yes. We will, no matter what." The girl's eyes glimmered, reflecting the ice and stars, and for a moment everything else, the cold, the isolation, the dangers, faded away. Here, on a frozen world, humans had found a life to protect, and a challenge that could test their limits. It was a beginning, the start of a story that would stretch across planets and perhaps, one day, across the stars themselves. And in that moment, Elena felt it clearly. Humanity had not only discovered life, they had become worthy of it. The alien girl moved slowly across the containment chamber, her movements smooth and precise, almost as if she were studying every step she took. Her skin glowed faintly in the soft lights of the lab, reflecting the pale blue of the ice outside. The crew watched her carefully, noting every gesture, every subtle change in expression. Elena Marquez had stayed awake most of the night, monitoring the girl's vital signs. She was alive, strong, and it seemed, highly intelligent. But the question that haunted Elena was how to communicate. Words seemed insufficient, yet gestures, expressions, and thought-like impressions were working in ways that no one had expected. The girl turned her head and looked at Elena, then at Rohan, and finally at Lena. She pointed toward the energy panel that powered the containment unit. A soft wave of thought brushed against Elena's mind, not words, but something like curiosity, a question. Elena stepped forward slowly, keeping her hands visible. "Do you want me to show you how it works?" she asked gently, unsure if the girl could understand. The girl nodded slightly, her eyes wide, absorbing every detail. Elena demonstrated how the lights and switches controlled the temperature, how energy flowed through the circuits, and how the unit kept her safe. The girl imitated her gestures, pushing buttons and observing results with careful interest. She seemed to understand cause and effect quickly, faster than any human child might. "This is incredible," Rohan whispered to Lena. "She's learning faster than any human I've ever seen." Lena nodded. "And she's curious just like us. That's what makes her human in a way." Elena smiled softly. "It's curiosity that makes life meaningful. That's why we explore, invent, and survive. And she has it too." Over the next few days, the crew focused on building trust and communication. They discovered that the girl responded positively to gestures, tone, and even gentle touches on her arms and hands. Slowly, she began to mirror their expressions, showing happiness, confusion, or surprise in ways that were unmistakably relatable. One evening, the girl sat cross-legged on the floor, examining a small crystal Lena had picked up from the ice outside. She turned it in her hands, studying its facets and angles. When Lena reached out to explain how light refracted through the crystal, the girl tilted her head and seemed to understand immediately, repeating the same movements to produce the same sparkling effects. "She's learning not just by watching but by experimenting," Lena said quietly. "She's not a copy, she's creating her own understanding." Elena nodded, pride swelling in her chest. "That's exactly what humans do. We learn, adapt, and innovate. She has that too." It wasn't just intelligence that amazed them. The girl showed empathy and awareness. When Rohan tripped on a loose cable and nearly fell, she reached out instinctively to steady him. When Lena accidentally spilled a container of water, she moved quickly to help clean it up. Every action was careful, considerate, and gentle. One night, while the crew rested in the shuttle, the girl approached the window, staring out at the frozen plains. Her thoughts reached them like a soft whisper. "Why are you here?" Elena knelt beside her, careful not to startle her. "We are explorers. We came to learn about this planet, but we found you, and we want to help you." The girl paused, considering this. Her eyes reflected the icy landscape outside, and then she touched the glass gently. I need to leave. Danger follows me." The words struck them like a cold wind. Danger. Even in this remote part of the galaxy, someone or something was pursuing her. Elena's mind raced. "We'll protect you. We can't let anyone hurt you." The girl's gaze softened slightly. "You are human." "Yes," Elena said, "and we're going to help you no matter what it takes." In the following days, the crew began preparing for the possibility that they might have to move her quickly. Erendor's frozen surface was beautiful but treacherous. Blizzards could strike at any time, and the landscape was dotted with hidden crevices and thin ice that could collapse without warning. Despite the challenges, the alien girl seemed to enjoy exploring the lab and the immediate area around it. She learned to manipulate small tools, open doors, and even start simple machines with surprising precision. Her curiosity was boundless, and she began experimenting with the environment, creating tiny patterns in the frost on the windows and arranging crystals she had collected. Rohan watched her one morning as she carefully stacked crystals into a small pyramid. "It's like she's trying to understand order and balance," he said. "She's not just alive, she's thinking about the world just like we do." Elena smiled. "And that is the key. Humans have always survived because we think, adapt, and care. That's why we're here, and now we can show her the same thing." But even as they marveled at her intelligence and gentle nature, the looming threat could not be ignored. A signal had been picked up by one of the crew's long-range sensors, a distant pulse, faint but consistent, traveling across the icy plains. It was too precise, too systematic to be natural. Rohan frowned. I don't like this. Someone or something is coming. And they're coming for her. Elena considered the readings. We can't risk leaving her here. If they find her, we don't know what could happen. We have to be ready to move. The alien girl seemed to sense the tension. She placed her small hand over Elena's and looked up at her with wide, trusting eyes. You will protect me, Elena nodded firmly. Yes, always. Over the next several days, the crew worked tirelessly, constructing a portable habitat. They dismantled parts of the shuttle, repurposed energy units, and reinforced the life support system to ensure the girl could survive outside the lab. Every component was designed with care, guided by human ingenuity and adaptability. The alien girl observed their work constantly. She studied the construction process, assisting when she could by moving small tools or holding wires. It was clear that she wanted to understand, to participate, and perhaps to contribute. She's not just learning, Lena said one afternoon. She's helping us. She's part of this team now. Elena's heart swelled with pride. Humanity had always thrived because of collaboration and empathy, and here they were witnessing it in action, shared across species. Then one evening, as the sun dipped low behind jagged ice cliffs, a sudden shimmer appeared on the horizon. The faint pulse of a signal moving closer with mechanical precision. The crew froze. This was it, the danger the girl had mentioned. She's right, Elena whispered. They're coming. The alien girl stepped forward, her eyes reflecting fear, curiosity, and trust all at once. I can help, she thought, reaching toward a small console. Instantly, the energy fields around the lab pulsed and adjusted, creating a subtle shield that distorted external signals. Rohan gasped. She can manipulate technology, Elena nodded, her mind racing. It's not magic. She's intelligent and she's learning. She knows how to protect herself and us. For the next few hours, they prepared. They packed supplies, reinforced the portable habitat, and mapped a safe path across the icy plains. The girl assisted every step of the way, demonstrating knowledge and cleverness that continually amazed the crew. When the signal finally drew near, they were ready. The portable habitat hummed with energy, the girl safely inside. Elena, Rohan, and Lena stepped outside, their bodies tense but determined. They used decoys and subtle misdirections, leading the approaching pulse away from the lab while keeping the girl safe. The alien girl watched them with calm understanding, her trust in humanity clear. Every action they took was precise, careful, and nonviolent. They relied on brains and creativity rather than force. As the signal finally faded into the distance, the crew breathed deeply. They had succeeded. Not through combat or aggression, but through intelligence, collaboration, and courage. Elena knelt beside the girl, her eyes meeting hers. You see, we can keep you safe. We can protect you together. The girl's eyes shone with gratitude. You are different, human good. Rohan chuckled softly. I like that, human good, I'll take it, Lena smiled. We've done it, for now at least, but we need to keep moving, keep learning, and keep protecting her. Elena nodded. She looked around at the frozen plains, at the fragile structures they had built, and at the girl who had become a part of their lives in such a short time. Humanity had been tested, and they had risen to the challenge, not through violence but through compassion, intelligence, and ingenuity. As night fell over Urindor, the alien girl sat inside the habitat, watching the humans prepare for their next move. She was no longer just a mysterious being in the ice. She was a companion, a learner, and perhaps, one day, a bridge between worlds. And for the first time, Elena allowed herself to hope. Together, humans and the alien girl could face any challenge, explore any mystery, and survive in ways neither species could have imagined alone. The future was uncertain, but it was theirs to shape, and humanity had already proven that it could rise to the occasion. The morning sun barely broke through the dense ice clouds on Urindor, casting a pale, cold light over the frozen plains. The alien girl sat inside her portable habitat, observing the humans as they finalized preparations for their journey. The threat of the unknown signal was still present, a reminder that time was limited. Elena Marquez checked the portable life support unit one last time. The alien girl's vitals were stable and the environment inside the habitat was perfectly balanced. The girl looked at Elena with wide eyes, an expression of trust and quiet determination. Elena smiled. "We're ready. You'll be safe with us." The girl nodded, her hands resting lightly on the edges of the habitat. "Move now." Rohan adjusted the sled they would use to transport the habitat over the ice. The frozen plains were uneven, with hidden ridges and sudden dips that could easily destabilize their carefully constructed unit. Every step had to be calculated. Every movement required precision. Lena attached energy stabilizers to the habitat, ensuring it would maintain warmth and structural integrity even during rapid movement. "We have to keep her safe at all costs," she said quietly, more to herself than to anyone else. Elena nodded. "And we will." That's what humans do. We protect, we create, and we adapt. They began the journey slowly, sliding the sled over the ice with careful coordination. The alien girl peered out from her habitat, watching the shifting shadows and frozen formations around them. Occasionally, she touched a control panel inside the unit, subtly adjusting the energy flow. It was clear she understood the mechanics of the device and wanted to help. Hours passed. The terrain became more treacherous. Ice ridges rose like frozen mountains, and crevices hidden beneath thin frost threatened to trap the sled. But the humans worked together, using ropes, pulleys, and carefully designed levers to navigate safely. The alien girl observed and mimicked their movements, silently learning the methods of human problem-solving. At one point, the sled slipped slightly on a thin sheet of ice, tilting dangerously. Elena lunged forward, steadying the unit, while Rohan and Lena reinforced the support. The alien girl reached out from inside and pressed her hand to the control panel. A subtle hum resonated through the sled, and the tilting corrected itself. "She's helping," Rohan whispered in awe. "She's using her own abilities to keep herself safe." Elena's eyes shone with pride. "That's what makes humans unique. We work together, using our minds and hearts, and now she is learning that too." As they continued, the wind picked up and a distant shimmer on the ice caught their attention. The signal they had detected earlier was approaching again, moving steadily and precisely. It was no longer faint. "We need a plan," Elena said firmly. "We can't outrun it forever, but we can outthink it." The crew stopped briefly to evaluate the terrain. Lena pointed to a series of ice caves partially hidden in the cliffs. "We can use these caves to hide her temporarily. The signal can't penetrate dense ice like that." Elena nodded. "Good, but we'll need to create decoys to distract it long enough for us to reach the caves." They worked quickly, using reflective panels and energy pulses to send false signals across the plains. The alien girl watched carefully, her fingers lightly touching the controls of the portable habitat, enhancing the effectiveness of their measures. It was clear that she understood the concept of misdirection and was willing to cooperate. The signal approached, and the shimmering presence of distant technology became visible in the pale ice light. The crew held their breath as the decoys activated, sending pulses in opposite directions. The approaching source paused, then shifted toward the false signals. "Now," Elena said, and they moved swiftly toward the caves. The journey was tense but controlled. The alien girl remained calm inside the habitat, as if she trusted the humans completely. Her presence seemed to give them strength. Every obstacle, the treacherous ice, the cold, the blinding reflections of sunlight, was met with careful planning and steady hands. Finally, they reached the hidden ice caves. The entrance was narrow but deep enough to provide complete protection. The humans carefully maneuvered the sled inside, stabilizing it with energy anchors. The alien girl looked around, her eyes reflecting wonder at the crystalline formations inside the cave. "This is safe," Elena said softly. "You can rest here." The girl smiled faintly, and for the first time she reached out to touch Elena's hand. "Thank you," she thought. Hours passed, and the humans worked to create a permanent life support station inside the cave. They used parts from the shuttle, energy units, and insulation panels to construct a stable environment. It was far from luxurious, but it was safe, warm, and secure. The alien girl explored the space carefully, touching the walls, examining the formations, and arranging crystals in small, neat patterns. Rohan watched her and shook his head. "Every step she takes, she's learning. She's becoming more human in ways we can see, thinking, creating, adapting." Lena smiled. "And we're learning from her too. She's teaching us patience, understanding, and perspective." Elena nodded. "This is why humanity survives, because we adapt, we learn, and we care." We're showing her the same thing now. Night fell, and the cave was illuminated by soft, glowing panels the crew had installed. The alien girl sat quietly, her hands resting on her knees, eyes focused on the shimmering crystals Lena had placed around the chamber. She seemed to be meditating, processing everything she had experienced. Elena sat beside her. "You're safe now, no one can reach you here." The girl's eyes met hers. "You human, clever, kind." Elena smiled. "We try. And we hope that one day, when you're ready, you'll take that cleverness and kindness with you into the universe." The following days were spent exploring the cave and the surrounding area. The alien girl learned to interact with her environment, moving carefully over the icy formations, discovering small geothermal vents, and experimenting with crystals to reflect light and energy. The humans observed and guided her, answering her questions and encouraging her curiosity. One morning, while the crew was adjusting the energy stabilizers, the alien girl suddenly placed her hands on a crystal formation and caused a faint vibration through the cave. A small light pattern appeared on the walls, reflecting in colors they had never seen. "She's creating art," Lena whispered. "Or a form of communication." Rohan studied the pattern. "It's complex, organized. She's expressing herself, and it's beautiful." Elena felt a deep sense of wonder. Humanity had always celebrated creativity, intelligence, and empathy. Here was a being from another world, showing the same traits and learning them through observation and interaction with humans. Days turned into weeks. The alien girl grew stronger, healthier, and more confident. She helped maintain the habitat, experimented with energy flows, and even began to show subtle understanding of human emotions. Every smile, every gesture, every action was a testament to the shared bond between species. And then, one morning, a new signal appeared, not threatening but curious. It was faint, distant, and unlike the previous pulses. The alien girl's eyes widened and she touched Elena's hand. "Friends," Elena nodded. "Perhaps, or someone you trust, we'll find out together." The crew prepared to investigate, carefully planning a safe approach. The alien girl moved with them, her curiosity leading her forward but her trust in the humans keeping her cautious. Every step of the journey reinforced the lesson they had all learned. Intelligence, compassion, and cooperation were far stronger than fear, force, or isolation. As they approached the source of the signal, the alien girl reached out with her abilities, subtly scanning the environment. They discovered a small, abandoned research station, partially buried in ice. Inside, they found records of other explorers, maps of distant systems, and remnants of technology that had once served a similar purpose to their own. "This is remarkable," Rohan said. "We're standing on the evidence of other intelligent life, perhaps even civilizations that came before us, and she's part of it now." The alien girl explored the station with quiet fascination, touching the panels, examining old recordings, and arranging items in ways that suggested careful thought and understanding. Elena realized that the girl was not just a passive observer. She was an active participant, learning and contributing. Weeks later, the team had fully integrated the station with their portable habitat. The alien girl now had a space to experiment, explore, and grow, safe from external threats. And in turn, the humans had learned lessons of patience, creativity, and empathy that they would carry with them forever. Elena looked around at the team and the alien girl. She felt a profound sense of accomplishment. They had faced the unknown, navigated danger, and protected life without using force or violence. They had relied on intelligence, cooperation, and heart, the qualities that had always defined humanity. The alien girl approached Elena one final time that evening, placing her hands on Elena's cheeks and looking into her eyes. "Thank you, human, together strong." Elena smiled and held her hands gently. "Yes, together we are strong. And together we will explore what lies ahead." Outside, the icy plains of Erendor stretched endlessly, a world full of mystery, danger, and beauty. But inside the cave, life had found a way, not through conflict, but through understanding, curiosity, and the unshakable bond of trust. And for the first time, Elena knew without doubt that humans were capable of greatness, not just in technology or exploration, but in compassion, intelligence, and courage. They had discovered life, nurtured it, and learned from it. And in return, the alien girl had shown them that the universe was full of possibilities, waiting to be explored together. In the quiet of the cave, the team and the alien girl sat together, looking at the shimmering crystals, the soft lights, and the frozen world beyond. They had survived, learned, and grown, and the story of humanity and the girl from another world was only just beginning.